Number 1, Porky's, 1981. This theme of this film, a 1980s teen sex comedy, is a no-go to inhibit it from being the center of a storyline in a film today. There are many sketchy scenes, but the most notable is the hole-in-the-wall scene. Though it would be beneficial to be able to explain it more, we would like to keep the article PG. If you want to understand better, you should watch the film for yourself. In the scene, a group of teenage boys secretly drill a hole in the locker room of their fellow female classmates so they can gawk as they chance. The film and this scene is incredibly degrading to women because it treats this kind of behavior as funny, supporting the problematic boys will be boys mindset. Women are not objects and do not exist simply to be lusted after by men, which is why a film like this is wholly repugnant. Number 2, Manhattan, 1979. Manhattan tells the story of a 42-year-old comedy writer who begins to date a 17-year-old girl. There already, you can begin to understand the problem with this Woody Allen and Charles H. Joff romantic comedy. Except, it gets worse. Woody Allen had a long-term relationship with Mia Farrow before he left her to marry one of her adopted children who was 30 years younger than him. Allen was accused of sexually abusing the daughter he had with Mia Farrow when the girl, Dylan, was 5 years old. Needless to say that a film that normalizes an adult man dating a minor woman would not be permitted on screens today. Number 3, Natural Born Killers, 1994, American road movie. The film portrays the story of a pair of killers, Mickey and Mallory, who use the media to become news stars. It is a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde story. The film, highly controversial, especially for its extreme violence, divided critics. It was far from a huge commercial success. The film is accused of having encouraged shootings in the United States. Number 4, Salo or the 120 Days of Sodom, 1976. The last film by Pier Paolo Pasolini, who was murdered a few days before its release. He did not have time to finish the editing. It is a film in which there are many pornographic images. It is considered to be the hardest film to watch in the history of world cinema. Teenagers humiliated and raped. For these things it was banned or censored in many countries for several years, including Italy. Number 5, The Crying Game, 1992. Neil Jordan wrote and directed The Crying Game, which became a successful thriller in 1992. The story is about an IRA member named Fergus who shares a short but impactful moment with Jody, a British soldier. Fergus' group is holding Jody prisoner, and while he is there they get to know each other more and form a friendship. The film includes a horrifyingly transphobic scene where Fergus discovers that Dill is transgender and punches her in the face and then vomits. A scene like this ugly would no longer be admissible in a modern-day production. Number 6, Three Men and a Baby, 1987. Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, Ted Danson are the stars of this movie directed by Leonard Nimoy. The American comedy is about the blunders of three single men who try to raise a baby that appeared on one of their doorsteps one day. The baby was in fact fathered by one of the three men. There are two large issues evident in this film. Firstly, there is a barrage of homophobic jokes. The second problem is that the main protagonist and father of the baby tries relentlessly throughout the film to obtain a large amount of cocaine. The blatant homophobia and drug references would definitely take a movie like this off of the production table. Number 7, A Clockwork Orange. The film is also a bit futuristic, very violent, very psychological. It is about a gang that infiltrates a house and rapes a woman in front of her husband. After the film's release, several British criminals who had perpetrated acts of gratuitous violence have claimed to have taken their inspiration from the film. When the film was released in 1972, the public were shocked because the violence in the film was portrayed in an aesthetically pleasing way. Number 8, Therese, 1986. It is the depiction of a teenage girl who became religious. She struggles with physical suffering. She died of tuberculosis at the age of 24, leaving a notebook in which she recounts her little life. It is translated all over the world. Her grave became a place of pilgrimage. It is a highly stylized, almost experimental film. Religious faith is linked to the discovery of life, but it was a great success all the same. Number 9, Blazing Saddles, 1974, an American Western film set in the late 1800s. This comedy was directed by Mel Brooks starring Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder. The plot is about the American frontier and the progression of building a railroad. Mel Brooks plays the sheriff who is in charge of making sure everything is running smoothly in town amidst all the problems they are facing. Though this comedy directly tackles the subjects of policing and Hollywood stereotypes, it is wildly racist and sexist, which no one would want in theaters today. Even Mel Brooks spoke with Variety saying that the world had become too politically correct and that it would be the end of comedy. Number 10, RoboCop, 1987. This movie would be unacceptable by both political sides today, but for different reasons. The original version of the film shows police inflicting a hefty amount of violence which would likely be totally rejected by the left. The violence seems to be justified because it is somewhat narrated. Yet on the right side, law enforcement supporters are likely to object against the anti-capitalist themes and the pushback against the U.S. justice system. Though these subjects were ahead of their time, the film would both unite and divide many citizens in the U.S.
For such cool and interesting information, subscribe and like our top most Sing English channel and page. Thank you for watching.